Hey everybody, welcome back to another multimeter review. It is a cheapo multimeter review. Today we're looking at none other than the Tacklife model DM03B. Yeah, B as in boy. It's a Tacklife. Kind of tacky, I know. Nice thing about Tacklife is they help tackle life's problems. No, it's actually quite a popular meter. Had quite a few different people in the past couple of months ask me about Tacklife products. So happy I could bring one of these on board for a review. Actually, there's a couple that I'm going to be reviewing, but today I've decided to go solo with the DM03B. Okay, let's take a look inside. They ship in a albeit brown, slightly boring, but a rather nice box. No complaints here. A lot of these cheap multimeters, you will notice, or you may notice, that they ship sometimes with no box at all, but it's always nice, even for a cheapo multimeter, when you actually get the box as well. Hey, look at that. So first thing I notice is that this meter ships with a screwdriver. Oh, kind of cool. I wasn't aware of that, and it is jet black. Ooh. Liking it. And it's not really one of those small diminutive ones. No, this is actually that's a good size screwdriver. So, hey, kudos Tacklife, that's kind of cool. First off, I want to say, yeah, this is actually really nice packaging. Not only do you get the box, but you get peripheral, screwdriver, but they're actually putting each of these parts in a separate plastic bag or enclosure. And that's kind of nice because sometimes during the shipping process, as you probably know, things can get rattled and scratched. So, you know, once again, I'm kind of impressed with Tacklife. Even for a cheap multimeter, this is quite impressive. Now, when I say cheap, I'm not kidding. I paid around 10 bucks Canadian for this meter. Now, that, granted, it was a promo at the time. This goes from, I guess, probably $10 to $20. But, yeah, I paid 10 for this, which was pretty cool. Speaking of cool, hey, you also get a warranty card courtesy of Tacklife, and that's kind of neat as well because you can put your details on here. And what do we say? It says the warranty, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and 90 days to 6 months they will replace the unit completely. So basically 6 months if you have any issues. Once again, good job Tacklife. So let's start with the probes themselves. And what do we have here? We'll start off with the shrouding at the tips. Not too long, not too short. Probably for this type of meter, it's just right. Now, in terms of the actual quality, definitely it's a typical kind of a PVC style material. No silicone going on here. But that being said, it feels actually quite nice. The gauge of the wire itself, fairly large. And there is no gauge rating on the leads, but definitely on the thicker side, so no complaints there. If we took a look at the leads themselves, they do have a rating on them, and it's quite a nominal value, 600 volt Cat 3, so no crazy, ludicrous, hyper-inflated safety ratings here. They both ship with that nice little shroud, so you can lose a Cat rating, but at the same time, gain a little more flexibility in terms of how you want to use the leads. Speaking of the leads, they are nice and pointy. No gold tips, but I do like them. In terms of the size, you know, probably I would have preferred maybe a tiny bit on the larger side, but that being said, you know what? They look pretty good. So these would be quite interesting to test for the continuity and a couple of the other features. So yeah, so far I'm quite happy with these leads. Now the meter itself, as you can see, it's all black with a little bit of orange accent, and it looks quite nice. This is a non-auto ranging multimeter. First thoughts, ergonomically speaking, I like it. Has a nice bit of weight to it, not too heavy, definitely not too light. Feels really good in the hand. Definitely doable with one-handed operation as well. Yeah, I like the feel. Feels really nice. Now the boot itself will come off, so it does look like it is permanently attached, but fear not, yeah, that rubber boot can come apart if you want to take it off. The DM03B also ships with a pretty nice little manual. It's in multiple languages. It starts off with English, but as you can see, it's I'm not going to say it's exhaustive, but it is quite in-depth in terms of what they're actually putting in here. So you're getting all of the ranges, information about the meter, the functionality, what have you. So yeah, good job Tacklife with an actually quite a user-friendly manual. No surprises here, made in China, but that being said, it's not necessarily a bad thing now, is it? If we look at the fuse rating, something else you don't always see, especially with cheap meters, but once again, we do see it here, and that is the fact that they are giving us the fuse values right on the outside of the meter. So if you do happen to blow a fuse, don't worry, you don't have to pull it apart right away. At least you can take a gander at the back of the meter and look for exactly the type of fuse that you need to replace it with. Tilting stand or standing bail opens up at your typical sort of 90-degree angle and a little wobbly perhaps. It's not the widest stand, but that being said, no worries here. Yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. Next up, we're going to take a look at the backlight. And here we go. As you can see, super crisp, no bleeding whatsoever, nice all-around even display. Oh my god, the backlight just went out. Yeah, that's the problem. It only lasts for like 2 seconds. What's that all about? Come on, Tacklife. Should be up to us. So once again, with that backlight enabled, it really is super, super clear, but it only lasts for a couple of seconds. Before we turn it on, we have to insert one 9-volt battery, and as you can see, we have one nice threaded insert. Taking a closer look at the range selector switch, we start off with volts AC, up to 600 volts. Next up is direct current, starting off with 200 microamps, all the way up to 10 amps. Diode mode. Continuity. Resistance from 200 ohms to a maximum of 2 mega ohms. Volts DC from 200 millivolts up to 600 volts. Finally, back at the 9 o'clock position to the off position. Let's turn that meter on for the first time, and there we go. Now, one nice thing about this meter, if you can hear that, there's a nice little popping sound when you put that lead in. I'll try it again. Yeah, so I like that. So it's in there nice and firm, and that little click just gives you that assurance that indeed the lead is in there and it's not going anywhere. So let's try out that range selector switch. Nice clackety clack. Clicks with authority. Gets right on the range. Don't worry about it not hitting the range itself. Yeah, I like it. No worries there. Nice feel. And the actual selection knob itself has enough depth that it's comfortable when you turn the dial. First up is a DC accuracy test, and we have our precision voltage tester here. As you can see, we are in the 250 millivolt range, and pretty darn close. It's going back and forth between 249 and 250 millivolts, so no worries there. Good stuff. Next up, 2.50 volts, and look at that, spot on 2.50. First up is the DC accuracy test, and we are going head-to-head with the Alcohol EM33D. Starting off with half a volt, 0.5 volts according to the DC power supply, and we are showing 0.60 for the Tacklife and 0.61 for the 33D. Let's take it up a notch. Let's go up to a whopping 2.5 volts. 2.55 for the Tacklife, 2.54 for the Alcohol. Up, and away. We're going to hit 10.5 volts, 10.63 for the Tacklife, 10.59 for the Alcohol. Up, and away. We're going to hit 20, let's do 22 volts even. Even, Steven. Come on, there we go, 22 volts even, and as you can see, we are over limit, over range. So because these are non-auto reading meters, we do have to increase the setting. So we're going to move it up. There we go. So now we're sitting at 22.1, or actually no, well, 22.1 for the Tacklife 22.0, spot on for the Alicol. Up and away, we're going to finish it off now at 31.5 volts. 31 point, what are we going to say, 31 point, I'm going to have to say 31.6 for the Tacklife, 31.5 spot on for the Alicol EM33B. So pretty darn close. I would have to give it though by a count or two to the Alicol in terms of the overall voltage accuracy. Taking the Tacklife up a little bit, we are sitting at around 185 milliamps. We do have a very small milliamp resolution once again on this, so we can't go much higher. But that being said, yeah, it seems to be doing just fine in the milliamp department. Would have been nicer to see a slightly higher range, but it is what it is. Next up is LED testing time. Let's see how well, or not so well, the Tacklife can light up the following 5 LEDs, starting with the yellow LED. Illumination in the nation, folks, but no forward voltage drop. Moving up to the green. It cannot light the green. Let's go to the red. No problems there. No forward voltage drop. Moving over to the white LED. We have illumination, but no forward voltage drop. Finally to the blue LED, illumination, but once again, we're unable to see a forward voltage drop, so that's too bad. If we take a look at the output diode voltage on the DM03B, we can see, according to the older but venerable Sears DMM, a solid 3.05 volts being outputted. We're now in resistance mode, and once again, this is a very low resistance range up to only 2 mega ohms. And we are sitting at 1 mega ohm currently, and is showing us just 3 counts off. Let's take it up. Oh, let's bring it right up to 2. And yeah, pretty close, 1.995 mega ohm. If we increase the resolution just a tiny bit, no, we are over limit. So yeah, you definitely are restricted in terms of the resistance measurements with this Tacklife. Next, we're in continuity mode, and I'm going to start off with the default probes. Let's see how good it does. Here we go. Wow, so it is scratchy, it's unlatched, but you know what? It's really fast. You know, people have their preferences for all sorts of things, and continuity is no different. I actually like that scratchy sound. Troubleshooting, what have you, it works just as good for me as the latched. Not bad at all. Let's try a different set of probes. Here we go, another set of cheap, good probes. A couple of bucks I paid for these. Here we go. Still scratchy, but definitely a little bit faster and a little bit louder. But hey, Tacklife DM03B, that's pretty good continuity. Yeah, I like it. A couple of important things to point out about this meter. As good as it is, there are a few caveats. The big one for me is the fact that there is no auto shutoff. You heard me right. The Tacklife DM03B will stay on for an eternity. So buyer beware, if you do decide to choose this meter, make sure you turn it off when you're done. Next, we're going to go look inside this guy and just see how well she's put together. If I can only get the shroud off. Come on. That's on there really good. Okay, gotta tell you, those 4 Phillips screws were in there really good. Quite long, and yeah. Alright, so let's take it apart and see what is on the inside. Oh yeah, it's always like Christmas when you open up a multimeter. I'm telling you, I love it. I love it. So, wow, you know, first glance, first off, I gotta say, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I see ceramic fuses instead of glass fuses. I see not 1, but 2 PTCs. A decently designed current shunt that's a little on the thick side with some nice angles to it. Yeah, you know what? I am liking it. Okay, so we'll start off with the other side of the interior, and as you can see, the back cover has no shielding. We have that one nice threaded insert where the 9-volt battery sits, so that's really good to see. But yeah, as always, wish it had some darn shielding. Okay, so let's take a look at the inside. Yeah, like I said, this is quite a nice meter for the price. Starting off down at the input jacks, they are the split variety, but look at that. We have that pin header on each side of the input jack. This is great. This has really got long-term sustainability and durability guaranteed. And if you look at the soldering job, the pinhole goes through the PCB all the way through, and it's soldered in. So between both of those implementations, we've got a really, really good input jack setup here. I like it. Excellent. We have both of our fuses, one on the milliamp and one on the current side of things. And that is the piezo, or the speaker, we have here. Now they've got one Phillips screw. I'm not so keen on the way it's sitting right on top of or beside that fuse. And I believe, let's just see, that is the current side of things as well. So I wish that was put somewhere else. Being plastic and all, that could heat up probably in a jiff. Yeah, so that is my first not so fantastic thing to report on the inside. And once again, they have those wires really going across that fuse header again. So, you know, anytime you put any sort of wire device alongside a fuse, that can get incredibly hot, just not, you know, not really a good thing. So if we do a little more probing, once again, I have another meter hooked up, and we're in continuity mode, and we are currently have one probe into the current input jack, and that is our ceramic fuse on the current side of things. And suffice to say, I have verified the 10 amp fuse. It is indeed 10 amps and 250 volts. Unfortunately, it's becoming more and more commonplace to see ratings on these cheap multimeters, but if you actually go ahead and take a look at that fuse itself, it is substandard to what the meter has been rated for. So good job, Tacklife, in actually giving us the proper rated fuses. Moving over to the voltage slash milliamp side of things, once again, the input jack is being shared by the two. We have the 250 volt 0.250 milliamp, so it is a 250 milliamp fuse. Would have been nice to see something slightly higher than the said rating, but it is what it is. We've got not one but two PTCs as well for that input protection, and that seems to be it in terms of the overall input protection on the voltage slash milliamp range. According to the PCB, the OEM of this meter is Maztec. It's being labeled as the MS8233AB. So Maztec is the original OEM on this Tacklife meter. Underneath the piezo itself, we have a dual op amp that is an LM358. So that was originally being covered by the speaker. Also, something worth pointing out, if we look at the D4, so this is a diode over here, and I believe that is for the reverse polarity protection. So if you happen to put in the 9-volt battery with the wrong polarity, you're not going to hose the meter. Taking a look at the opposite side of the PCB, here we see the rotary selector tracks themselves. Fairly good spacing, no worries there. Probably some sort of a tin style material. I don't believe that's gold plated. I could be wrong though. Here is where the elastomar feeds the LCD circuit on top. And this is of course the IC, which is cobbed. Now once again, if we're going to take a look at those input jacks, check them out. They are totally gorgeous. Really, really well made. We have a dual pin on the soldering side of things. And if we flip it around again, we can see just how well those jacks have been put together. Definitely in there for the long term. Really, really exudes quality for such an inexpensive multimeter. These are some great looking input jacks. I'll put it back together and I'll come back with my closing thoughts. Hey guys, don't be shy. Don't let Tacklife DM03B walk on by. Now this is one great meter you probably don't want to pass out on. Did I say pass out? Well, you know what I mean. Final thoughts on the Tacklife DM03B. This is a pretty good multimeter. Is it a great multimeter? Probably not. But it does a lot of things really well. Superbly designed, extremely well put together. Look at that input protection. Look at the input jacks. I'm impressed. Remember, this is a cheapo multimeter. You can get this for around $10 to $20. It's a really, really good deal. I'm going to give the Tacklife DM03B a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the feedback. Till the next time, keep on testing.